McLoughlin, who's the branch secretary.
Yay!
The branch secretary of Tower Hamlets Unison and secretary of Tower Hamlets Joint Trade Unions.
Can I firstly extend a very big thank you to Dilawar Hussain and the London Muslim Centre for hosting us here today, providing this magnificent event. I think it's important that in a manner like Tower Hamlets we demonstrate the unity of our community against so many attacks that have been on our Muslim brothers and sisters in recent times. To our members in Tower Hamlets, I want to say how proud I am of you today. Our members have come out in Mulberry Place, in every place, in social care, in adult social care, in children's centres, and I want a particular mention for our members in schools, who I think have been absolutely magnificent today. You know, sometimes you get calls when you're about to go on strike of people complaining. Yesterday we had an angry call from a voluntary aided school that we hadn't balloted on legal advice. And our members are saying to me, why aren't we out on strike as well? And that's the spirit of today, about unity. So saying that, I want to say how glad and pleased I am that we are here today together with the National Union of Teachers. And there's a very, very simple message here. Together, we are much stronger. Yeah. Together, we bring together our community. And I think today, we have set a marker for those people who want to oppose the cuts and those of us in the trade union movement that the future is by bringing our unions together to fight together, not to be split apart. And I want to say I'm so proud as well because the people on strike today mostly aren't under threat of immediate redundancy themselves. They're people who've been told your job's secure for the time being. But they've come out on strike because we believe in fighting for jobs, and we do believe in fighting for jobs, not just for ourselves, because one of the scandals in this country today is that nearly 1 million young people aged 18 to 24 cannot find work, and if you destroy pubs in the public sector, you don't just attack us, you attack the future of our children and our next generation, and we are quite right to say we will fight to defend every single job. But also because we know that we are fighting to defend our services, the education for our children, to make sure that people are safe, to make sure that adults as they get old have proper care, that the services we provide, that the heart of our community continue to go on. And I was thinking as we came down Commercial Street, as we were there on the barrier of the City of London, and you look over at the glass towers, and you know that inside there are people who are earning enormous amounts of money, telling us that we have to put up with enormous cuts. I don't know if people saw the demonstration of health workers a couple of weeks ago, but as it proceeded past the Deutsche Bank, one of the bankers came to the window to wave at people his £10 note. In that bank, the minimum pay is £150,000 a year before you start on the billions bonuses. So don't tell us in the public sector that we are the ones who have to take cuts. Tax the bankers, tax the rich. Make those who created the crisis be the ones to pay for it, not working class people. And I believe that is the mood, the length and breadth of Britain. Last Saturday I took part in one of the most amazing demonstrations I've ever seen in my lifetime. Amanda, our union official, told me she was one of the stewards, and she stood for 6 hours in Downing Street while a continuous stream of people came past it. And I think there's a few messages we should take from that. The first one is that we are the majority. Ordinary people want to defend the services that we work in, and we should be proud of that. The second is, many people in this country have said that trade unions are finished. they're an institution of the past, will ask you this. Who else could put out on the streets the numbers of people that we did as trade unions? We are not finished. We are not the minority. We speak for ordinary working people in Britain, and they want an alternative. And I think we should say to people, they need to take courage from that. You know, in Tower Hamlets, we've been successful in stopping a number of the cuts, but a number of the cuts are still going through. And when we talk to our mayor, he says to us, I'm reluctant to make the cuts. I don't want to do it, but I don't have an alternative. And I believe him. He's an honest man. I don't believe he or many other people in the same position in Labour councils up and down the country want to make the cuts. But I asked them this question. Isn't it better to be willing to stand up to the government, and even, dare I say, if it came to it, to break the law, than to break the poor and ordinary working class people and our services? And I think they should take courage. Because what we have shown today, if we can put 1,500 people on the streets of Tower Hamlets, what could an administration that said that rather doing the bidding of Cameron and Clegg, we will not make the cuts, we will not make working class people pay, we will defend our community, how many could we turn out there? Last Saturday showed you what could be done when our movement is united. Another lot of people I think that we should also give courage to is our trade union leaders. I'm very pleased to have our Assistant General Secretary, and I'm very pleased indeed to have an old friend of mine, Mark Savotka from the PCS, who in my opinion is probably one of the finest trade union leaders we have in Britain today. But I think there should be confidence that comes from that demonstration on Saturday. If we can put 1 million people on the streets, if we in Tower Hamlets can organise coordinated strike action, then what could we do on a national level if our leadership are willing to stand up and give a lead? That's what we've done in our own small way here in Tower Hamlets. When we sat down last September before the cuts came about, we said we will work together to get coordinated strike action. And what today has shown, and it's a gamble, we couldn't be certain how people react, but I am bowled over by your reaction today, and that tells me all I need to know about where people are given a lead, they will stand up and fight. So the last thing I'm going to say is we don't know exactly where the fight will go from here. We'll continue to fight the cuts locally. We know this year is only the first round. We don't know what is next in store with the attacks on our terms and conditions and further cuts, but we know this government has a whole series of attacks in line for us. They've frozen our pay. They're coming for our pensions. And I think as a trade union movement, we have to try and bring people together in a kind of force that can stop this government in its tracks. I'll just mention one issue, pensions. Every single public sector worker now faces 3% increase in your contributions, increase in your retirement age to 65 to 66 and then 67. I think that's an issue in which we can unite across the trade union movement. I know that some of the unions, the NUT, PCS and the UC, are already talking about a strike in June. I'd make a plea to the leadership of Unison, GMB, Unite and every other public sector union. Let's make sure we fight on our pensions together. Let's get a public sector-wide general strike. Let's this government run with business. We are not going to pay the crisis.